More on this, why are you?
One's coming to me, I think. One's coming.
Oh my goodness.
Come this guy.
Welcome to the Phoenix. I'm Dave, I'll be your guide today. Not only are we your tour guides, but yes, I'm also your certified miner. We're still a working mine. We're no longer a production mine. All that productivity did stop in 1988 for the privately owned mines. Shut them all down. We still work and we want to keep it safe for you guys, so we still work the mine. We just don't produce anymore. What we do take out of here, we don't crush it, smelt it, and produce it. We sell it to you guys as cool souvenirs. So we are still a working mine. We still got to work this beach to keep it safe. And if need be, drill and blast and have fun. Go fill up time to blow things up. So you guys get to experience a real mine today, guys. Not just some temperature. On that note, yes, it is a mine. That's where our pretty minerals come in. Have you guys ever heard of leverite? Beautiful. Leverite. We call her leverite because you leave her right where you found her. I'm going to make sure you see a lot of beautiful minerals today, guys, but we're also going to see a lot of sulfur. Sulfur is an amazing mineral. You need it for a lot of applications today. The downfall, if you forgot to handle sulfur, you got that powder on your hand. And you got to rub your eyes. We just introduced water. At that point, we're creating sulfuric acid. Think about pepper spray and how bad it burns and multiply that times 20. That's sulfuric acid, guys. I know that pain. I suffer every morning. Let us know when people suffer. I want you crazy ones to have fun today. All right? So we don't want to pick anything up. We don't want to touch anything. We don't want to dig anywhere to see what might be there. I want you guys to have fun. I don't want you to suffer. Let us suffer.
So get your hands away from me.
So we'll have fun today, all right? That's my hardest part. I start working that rock and the first thing I do. Oops, oh God. And I still got to go do my thing. So let us crazy people do that, okay? I want you guys to have fun today. Are you ready to see a mine?
Yeah.
Well, before we do, who wanted that cool photo?
Oh, yeah.
We encourage you.
Okay.
Oh, it smells lovely in
Right
here.
here for me. Make a nice group for me. And welcome to the Phoenix. Again, I'm Dave, your guide today. And yeah, you're a crazy miner. Now, if you think about Colorado and go back millions of years, we were flat. We did not have mountains. Guys, there's all muddy sea floor. What made that so amazing? A lot of the rock they were finding throughout Idaho Springs, 1.8 billion years old. Some of the old rock. So it makes our Rockies so amazing, because our Rockies are only 60 to 70 million years old. Those are formed through our tectonic plates. We happen to sit on that ancient North American plate and we collide with that Pacific plate. All those millions of years ago, those plates are moving, putting all that force and pressure on that muddy sea floor. Over time, the forces and pressures and upheaval turned everything into the beautiful tectonic rock we see today, guys. Our tectonic plates. Tectonic rock. The forces, the pressures, the upheaval. What makes that so amazing, if we look right here, guys, we're looking at the ancient water table. This line right here, kiddo, spin around for me. And right here, oh man, see the difference there, guys? This is the ancient water table from millions of years ago. Cool, huh? Yeah. So it proves yes, it was that. Our minerals, they got here through our hydrothermals, the hydrothermal water. That water was truly formed through magma and lava. That magma and lava superheat and melt rock. As it does, create steam. The steam gathers in the cracks, the faults, condensates, creates that water, the hydrothermal water. Any minerals that melt in that lava and magma end up in that water like soup. About 2% of that water will reach the surface. The rest never does. Like that magma never makes it, but it tries. Well, all that's trapped near it's under a lot of pressure. As that water and magma start to work their way up through those voids, those faults, it starts to cool, the pressure starts building even higher. Those minerals start hardening. The more that water and magma splash up and melt and everything, leaving more of them liquidy minerals. And that process continues to take place. As it does, those minerals will harden. They'll fill in the cracks and leave the veins behind. The white we see everywhere, the pretty quartz. That quartz is surrounded by the silver. And all that yellow everywhere, guys, that's your sulfur. And all that red, the rusty red iron. Cool, huh? The ancient hydrothermal, guys, all that super hot water magma. As it tried to reach the surface, about 2% of that water did. The rest never did. Guys, it was based off of how cool that water got down to and how much pressure it was under as what minerals would start to harden, filling in our cracks. Cool, huh? What makes that so amazing? It still happens. Think about that 2% that reaches the surface. And think about Idaho Springs, the Indian Springs. And you folks love to refer to that hydrothermal water as the hot mineral springs. Even more proof, Yellowstone. All the mud and water bubbling out. Even more proof, California. What happens in California? Exactly. Guys, California sits on an ancient plate now. They sit along the San Andreas Fault, just one of 14 faults that runs through California. As that ring of fire spews that magma up out of the earth and hits that ocean hard and distantly, as it does, starts putting pressure on that plate. As that North American plate moves, guess what happens? They feel it. Earthquakes. Guys, Mother Earth don't care that we're here. She's going to keep doing these processes for millions of years to come. That's what makes it so cool. Neat, huh? All right, no more school. Let's check out a mine, shall we? We call that a wind, W-I-N-Z-E. When we work a wind in a mine, we go down at a 45-degree angle and we go over 100 feet. You know? That ladder, 100 feet long, and it goes to 45 degrees. That's what a 45-degree angle looks like. See the light down there at the bottom? Let's make it easy. See the light down there, right? That's 100 feet down. If you go down that ladder with me and step off that ladder, we will step off and do a drift lift just like this. So that is truly how we access our levels as we go down. What makes that so cool? We were down there 13 days ago. We still go down there next time. That's what makes us normal, and you guys crazy. The pretty pieces in the front counter we send you guys as souvenirs comes from the wind. We still go down there. The downfall, getting the rocks off those levels. If we can't carry it up, we gotta power this beast up. This is known as a skip bucket and a skip rail. They lower the bucket down to us, we fill it full of rock. They bring it back up, and when it gets to here, it dumps into my car. Seems kind of simple, don't it? The downfall, our bell signals, we still use them to this day. They were started over 100 years ago. So they communicate, and that's to this day, industry standard. That's how we still communicate, guys, bell signals. If you haven't learned your bell signals, going down there for the next 12 hours is gonna be a nightmare. Because that's how we still communicate. Cool, huh? That is what makes us normal people. You guys are crazy. You want to see that cool? We have fun in the mine, because that's just one way we go to work, guys. Come on back, I'll show you another cool way we go to work.
Okay, oh, we hit the head. That's why the heart's too low. It's getting a little chilly.
Think about that fault we're following, man, guys. That vein I showed you, we're following the fault back. And that's where this comes in. My stope, S-T-O-P-E.
Oh my God, look at
When
that.
we work a stope, we do it at the same 45-degree angle as the winds, but now we go up, not down. When we do, we're not doing it to access levels, we're stoping it out. So that's where you're gonna be for the next 12 hours, guys, in that 45-degree angle. We love it.
Ow.
Why do you love it so much? Gravity. All that rock we're drilling and blasting to pieces. When we go to take it out of here, we don't need to use a skip bucket, guys. A lot of times we don't need to use bell signals. We dump it down our stope chutes. Let it flow. Let gravity take over. It flows down the chute into the mine cart. Get the empty out, get the full in. The downfall. Stope chutes jam, and they jam easy. If we have no flow, we have no production. At that point, plumbers are very bad at us. No flow. One of us crazy fools needs to get down in that stope chute and then jam the flow. How many tons are in that chute? Where it can go, guys? That is what makes us crazy people. Why are we stoping it out? Think about that vein, that fault we follow back, and notice what we're standing next to. All that iron, all that silver, and all that sulfur. If we follow that vein up into the stope, so see the silver vein up there, guys. If we follow that silver vein around, the fault will follow back. Cool, huh? So we're following that big old ancient fault all the way back.
Wow.
That's what made it so amazing. Our vein, a lot of the veins up here, were part of the old original deposits. Our minerals were deposited in these mountains shortly after they were formed. That's what makes it so amazing, because the old timers, they had a cool saying. They used to love to say, the gold rides the iron horse. We look for rusty red iron. We look for quartz. We pan the strings looking for that black dirt to form of iron. Because a lot of times we start finding gold. To this day, we still use that rule of thumb, guys. Gold rides the iron horse. Neat, huh? That's what makes pyrite so amazing. We know what pyrite is, don't we? The fool's gold. When you find pyrite, doesn't matter how big or how little that piece is, it will always form a cube. The flat edges forms perfect cubes. Gold doesn't form a cube, forms nuggets. Do we call it the golden cube? It's a golden nugget, guys. That pyrite also shines like beautiful silver. Gold is dull yellow. That's how we can tell the difference between gold and pyrite. But do we truly know what pyrite is? It's amazing. It's a bunch of sulfides that make up iron. Guys, it's iron pyrite. All those deposits, Central City, Black Dog, Golden, earlier deposits, well after the rocks were formed. All that pyrite decided to form the perfect cubes, the iron pyrite. But because our veins were some of the originals, as that pyrite started to form and cool, trying to form that cube, due to the fact that it was iron and gold started to gather, as it did, it kept it forming cubes. The rest is chunky. We refer to that as chalcopyrite, guys. Gold gathered with it. Bless you. And it's almost always trapped in quartz. Must be allergic to gold. Why? Because, guys, we're surrounded by it. All that iron with the pieces of gold in it. Or better yet, the chalcopyrite. The chalcopyrite. You want to see what made this vein so amazing, guys?
Wow.
The Phoenix vein. Come on back, I'll show you. That's nothing. Those are just pretty pieces of chalcopyrite.
It's like a little hole in there, exploratory hole.
Oh, wait till you see it up here.
I'm used to having a light mounted in my helmet.
I know what you mean. Mine's mounted right here.
Yeah, mine's right here. I just reach up and push the button with my right hand. Click on.
Yeah, where are we today?
Everywhere I go, I miss it.
Crazy, huh? Oh, come on in, guys. Every morning I watch this mountain by myself, do my safety inspection. I'm always walking through doing that. Gotta have fun somehow. Look, we're stuck for 12 hours a day, guys. Forever normal. You guys are crazy. Especially you looking at
Oh my gosh.
it. Beautiful, huh? That is your chalcopyrite, guys. This whole entire pillar we're looking at. Beautiful chunks of chalcopyrite. None of this is fool's gold. None of those form perfect cubes. The chalcopyrite, the gold we gather. And notice it's trapped in quartz. And notice all that beautiful rusty red iron. And the nuggets of gold still in there. Cool, huh? The Phoenix vein, guys. Right now we're at about 500 feet. That beautiful vein and our drift. We'll keep going 1,500 feet back. 2,000 total feet. The Phoenix vein. And this ain't nothing. Oh no. Owner 2's beautiful vein. Our mine was established in 1875, the original owner. The vein he discovered, he named it the Phoenix. The bird arose from the ashes. He worked that pretty vein from the 1800s to the early 1900s. And that's when owner 2 took over. When he did, the Phoenix vein, that giant hydrothermal, all that ancient hot water and magma. The Phoenix. The bird arose a second time. He worked his beautiful vein on and off to the 30s when we went through the World War, and then on and off again until the early 60s when he thought he was done. 1968 is when Alvin Mosch took over, our third owner, Old Al. When he took over in 1968, he worked all these old original workings, teaching his son David how to mine, and this is where he taught him. When David and his sister Cindy had spare time, they'd climb this hill and go prospect. They knew what to look for, fourth generation miners, and they found a beautiful vein. Cindy thought they just found part of the Phoenix. But David knew a little bit about that geology, that mineralogy. He knew it wasn't the same. Had some of the same minerals, but it wasn't all the same. And it traveled at a different part of this hill. That's when he realized what David just discovered. So Cindy, as sweet as she was, she let David get the credit. She even let him name it. Guys, he named it the Resurrection Vein. It was the beautiful vein that resurrected that Phoenix out of the ashes a third time. They worked that beautiful vein on and off from the 70s until 1988 when it came to a stop and we showed it off to you guys. That vein puts us to shame because David learned that geology, mineralogy, and core samples, that beautiful vein they discovered, earlier deposits. Well, after this was formed, that one was formed, guys. all that water and magma that spewed up this earth, forming that vein, helped rejuvenate what we're looking at. Because, oh yeah, the core samples of geology, he learned that resurrection vein traveled down this mountainside parallel to the Phoenix, anywhere from 2 to 4 feet as they went down the mountain. So yes, all that magma started to spew back up again, helped rejuvenate what we're looking at, guys. So it made it so amazing. I'll love to call that bad boy his mother lode. When we get there, I'll show you why, because it's beautiful. If you want to head back that direction, I'll take you to it. Sure is, kiddo. Crazy, huh?
I was just looking to see what's back there. You
Come on
know.
up if you like.
Oh, it's we're good. We're good.
It's safe up till there.
Good.
I still go back there, but I do safety inspections to make sure I'm not losing more than what I am.
It looks hazardous.
Exactly, the boom box. Oh, we can sit on it, but let me explain it first. We drill holes in the wall. Once we drill a hole, we fill holes full of explosives. Once we do, we put blast caps at the end of that. And then the fuse comes off that blast cap. Those fuses go down to the floor, and we hook them up into a bundle, and then we hook up a detonation cap to that. Then we take 2 lead wires and hook it to that mess, and run those 2 leads to my boom box. And we hook the 2 wires up. Once we do, we push the plunger. My plunger has grooves in it, guys. The grooves are on that handle. When I push that plunger, I go to a line with a switch and engage my switch. Also lines up with the gear. Perfect line. When I push that handle, it spins that gear, and it spins quick. That little gear has brushes in it. As that bead spins, those brushes create static electricity. Works almost like a diode. As it builds up all that static, this beast will build up 14.8 volts. It'll pop that switch, complete the circuit, sends the current down the line. When it does, it gets to that fuse. It ignites the blast cap. That blast cap ignites all those fuses. Starts blasting like dynamite, guys. Cool, huh? What makes that so amazing is that 14.8 volts. Exactly, and it happens distance. As soon as you push that hand within seconds, boom, it's gone. And God, is it fun. But guys, we blast in patterns. Everybody thinks it's one big giant boom. When we blast that section out, the floor will always blast out first. Then the opening, then the final blast. So it always blasts in a pattern. Boom, boom, boom. But it happens so quick. It's like, boom, you're done. It's fun. That's where these beasts come in. The little box. Guys, that'll generate 14.8 volts of power. Pretty powerful because our car batteries, when we start that car and the battery's running, everything, battery's under a load, that's what our battery's running under a voltmeter, 14.8 volts. That's how powerful that beast was. Or shall I say still is. We've tested it, it still works. That's why today, you ready? One push, all it would have taken would have been that simple. We had to lock it. Had to take it apart, put a wedge in there. Because of my youngins. Oh, they love to come play with that beast. Come on, let's work it. As they're doing that, what are their friends doing? Let me try. That wouldn't feel good, trust me. Because it still works. We had to put a wedge in there and block it out. Because almost 100 years later, it still will generate 14.8 volts. We plunge that handle when we do, it engages my switch. As that gear builds up all that current, complete the circuit. Guys, it still works. All we gotta do is take it apart, get the wedge out of there, check those brushes, and we can go start cars for the next 100 years. Cool on. The little box, the glass box. Now the youngins, they helped us in the mines too. Think about those boxes of dynamite. Those are originals that Al used to use, guys. The dynamite right in this mountain. Back in the old days, a lot of the small little openings, we can't fit through it. So what do? The youngins. He'll fit perfect in those holes with that box. As we're in that mine working under candlelight, we look back, what do we see? There's like a little monkey coming to us. Very true fact. Our children were known as our blast monkeys. They're carrying our dynamite to the mine for us, guys. And as we're going through the little teeny tiny spots, carrying that dynamite, looks like a little monkey walking to the mine. Cool, huh? So guys, that was a true term of our kids, the blast monkeys. Crazy, huh? Ready for good stuff? Boy, that was enthusiastic. She is ready. I saw her, yeah. I'll put the rest of you to work. Nah, I wouldn't do that to you. Come with me, guys. Let's go check out something cool. Come with me. So we are taught as miners to always walk in your track. If you don't feel brave enough and the power goes out, you don't want to walk your way out, do what we were taught to do. The miner's crawl. Drop your knees and follow your track. And crawl your way out. That's what we'll do that. And what made it so amazing, we see a bunch of that rock, then we have to notice all that weird rock getting back to the normal rock again. Guys, this is part of that 1.8 billion year old rock. And it shows those forces, the upheaval. Cool, huh? What made this section so amazing is what they discovered. The resurrection vein. Guys, this vein was averaging 3 to 4 feet thick. There's still about a foot to a foot and a half of vein left. All that iron. Throughout all that iron, the pure copper sulfide, the copper mixed with sulfur. The pure copper, guys. And throughout all that beautiful iron with the chunks of gold and all that chalcopyrite. Cool, huh? Before I explain why Al called that a beast by the Lord, let's see about that copper. It's beautiful, isn't it? Pure copper. Worth a lot of money, but worthless. Oh, yeah. Our pure copper tarnishes and turns blue. What color does the copper we use today turn?
Green.
Yeah, exactly. What does that tell us? Oh, I gave it away.
Sulfur.
If pure copper tarnishes and turns blue, and our copper turns green, not pure. Guys, pure copper worth a lot of money, but worthless. 2 reasons. Number 1, pure copper is way too soft. We thought lead and gold were soft, too. They're about copper. Copper is so soft it will never retain its shape. Second reason we can't use it. Beautiful, huh? As it tarnishes, turns that beautiful blue. As it continues to tarnish, that moisture slowly evaporates and the sulfides take over. It will turn back to powder. It won't go away in the wind. The sulfide. So we can't use pure copper, guys. Crazy, huh? We take that beautiful copper, melt it down, turn it back to liquid. As we do, depending on the uses, we start adding heavy metal back to it. I'm gonna make copper wire, still gotta be soft and flexible, huh? We want to turn it to powder. So we'll start adding back a tiny bit of iron, just enough to keep it from turning to powder, giving it the cool red color. We'll add a little bit of zinc and nickel because that'll make it conductive. If I want to do those pennies, the Statue of Liberty colors and roofs, we don't need as much nickel, a little bit more zinc, and a lot of that iron. As it cools, the iron makes it nice and hard, giving it the rusty red color. As it tarnishes, that chemical reaction starts to take place between all those minerals, including copper green, guys. Cool, huh? That's why our copper turns green. The different heavy metal we have to add back to it to make it usable. It's like gold, we don't use pure gold, we add heavy metals back to it. So copper. Cool, huh? You want to see why I'll pull our beats another level. We'll come right here in my room, stand right in here for you, and I'll show you why. I love that match. Thank you. Pretty amazing. So that's cool, you worked there, that's amazing, I love it. Cool history. Now if we take a look up, ooh, beautiful, huh? Guys, we're still looking at that same vein, and we can see that yes, it was averaging 3 to 4 feet thick. There's still about a foot and a half left there. As you look at that beautiful vein, this is why he called it his mother lode. Think about what we're looking at. How about everything? Silver, sulfur, iron, copper, gold, chalcopyrite. Guys, all 6 minerals are right there. That's why I'll refer to this piece as his mother lode. And this ain't nothing, it got better. It put itself to shame. Think about that lode we're following. Well, before I show you where it got even better, think about that beautiful rock, the resurrection vein, where we're going next. All 6 minerals. Better yet, the Phoenix vein. We take our beautiful chunks of rock and run through our rock crushers. These beasts will always be set above and behind the ball mill because we got to feed the ball mill rock. Belt driven, guys. 2 belts in my wheel, making that wheel spin. As it did that spinning action, it would make my centerpiece rock. That's my pivot point. It'd be rocking. As that would rock back and forth, the bottom would have to steel bar to push and pull the steel bar. That steel bar is still attached to this pivot point. So as that beast would rock, pushing and pulling, that steel bar will open and close my jaw. We chew food to temperatures rock. What makes this so amazing is it still runs. We had to put a rock apple in there because kids love to spin the wheel. We'd encourage them to. But the more they spin it, the more they go like that. That ain't a good thing. Because that jaw is be going just like that, guys. Imagine what it does to my rock. We start sticking those pieces of rock in there, within seconds, pieces like this pop out. So what happens after it, guys? There'll be a metal tray at the bottom of that jaw flowing down to my hopper. As we stick that rock in, break it into pieces, we introduce water immediately. Water eliminates silicate. Silicate is glass. The drills the old timers used to use ran on air. The air that made it run would blast their steel bolts, keeping the piston from burning out and cleaning their holes out, keeping the pit from getting jammed in the rock. The downfall, that silicate is glass. They're breathing glass 12 hours a day. Wasn't pretty, guys. It was causing silicosis. Very, very painful death. In all honesty, I'd rather die from black lung. I'm going to suffocate. Silicosis, you drown. And I won't say it won't because of my youngin'. They're breathing glass, guys. It's not pretty. All the drills the old timers used, about 20 years give or take, they last almost 500,000 miles of silicosis. That's why all those old drills are known as the Widowmakers. Lived up to the moon, guys. Almost 500,000 miles in 20 years. Not pretty. That's why our drills today still run on air, but the air that makes it run forces the water turbulence. Hook your air line, hook your water line, then start drilling. Mud pours out of our holes, guys. Water saves your life. The downfall as a miner. When I come through this mountain every day and I take my steel bar and I beat on that rock to make sure I don't have to bar anything down like I did right there, what's falling on my face? Silicate. God made dirt. Dirt don't hurt. Rocks do. I try to tell myself that at least once a day, guys. So I go to number ones into crazy people. Don't be miners. That's the big bucks. Geology, mineralogy, mining, engineering. That's where you're gonna make money, not doing this all day. We do this for passion. Miners are not rich people. Owners are the rich ones. Geology. As we run that rock into that jaw, we add that water to eliminate silicate. All that rock and water flow down that tray into my hopper, filling my ball mill with rock. We will do that till this beast has 2 tons, 4,000 pounds in all that water. Once it's full, we load it with 45 of these, 15-pound steel balls. So we put 45 of these bad boys in there. Once we do, we power up the electric motor. That motor with the shaft on it, little tiny gear at the end of that shaft. It's gonna make that gear spin like mad. Guys, my ball mill is a giant gear. That gear ratio brings this beast to life. This ain't no cement that you're keeping dirt wrecks at that point. Come back in a month, maybe something will have happened. When we power that sucker up and it gets up to speed, it's gonna start doing this, guys. It's gonna do that for the next 2 to 4 hours. As it does all those steel balls right inside the crush. After 2 to 4 hours of operation, it will turn everything, not just my rock, everything to the consistency of flour. Minerals and all. That water we add back creates slurry. It's a fancy word for mud, slurry. All those minerals, they're in that slurry now, and it's powder. If we think about our minerals and we think about the weights of our minerals, guys, gold's one of the heaviest. Gold is 19.3 times heavier than water. As that water carries our minerals downstream, those minerals look for the calm spots where they can sink and settle. They know what they do. They see the rock, as it flows around the rock, the calm spot, the bend of a river. Inside of a bend, the calm spot. Those minerals like to gather and sink. Gravity. All that slurry, we're going to do just that. Gravity. We're going to classify, not separate. Classify our minerals. And it's based off of gravity. Before I show you that final step, I'll show you where that beautiful piece came from, and you will truly see why I'll call it his mother. Come on over, guys. You see also that pretty sample I kept putting out, right there, get back to the public piece, and you can see all that gold, all that silver, sulfur, iron, copper, pyrite. Guys, how's mother look? Beautiful, huh? Once we get a good look at that bad boy and a good photo of that sucker, come gather at my table, because this is where the magic happens. So gather right here for me, guys. We'll make sure we get a good look at that beast. If you want a good photo of it, oh yeah, have fun. Amazing, huh?
So would you turn every bit of rock that you get into the powder, or if you look at it and you're like, oh, it doesn't look like much?
Dump rock goes over the side of the mountain. All the piles you see all over Colorado, those weird colored piles, dump rock. We know as we're mining it, we're going through all that dump rock. As we fill a mine cart, take it out and dump it down the hill.
Okay.
Once we get into the vein, we know we're working that ore, working that geology, we take that to the mill immediately.
Okay, thank
Excellent
you.
question. Beautiful, huh, guys? It is. Mother Earth in all of her beauty.
Ball man, it's been definitely.
Oh, God, beyond. The ball mill outside, that mill still operates. Everything in there still runs. We're trying to get that to the point where we can take you guys in there safely and see an operation. Now, come over here, kiddo. Yeah, because this is the magic, my table. See those weird marks on my table? All those weird marks are known as a rip. I have table ripples. Now, that table's covered in rips 100%. That's my high end, and this is my low end. Our mill people would do this step, not us crazy miners. There's going to be a water line on my table. It's going to be flowing. Pushing water down my table over those rips. As that takes place, our slurry It's gonna get run down this table with all that water. As it does, that water creates pressure. That water pressure is gonna push our minerals. Pushed up against the rift. When that starts to take place, we power that big giant motor up. That motor is attached to this table. This table sits on 2 giant I-beams. Notice how that motor lines up perfect with those rifts? When we power that motor up, guys, it starts bumping this table towards you guys. Bump, 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 bump. It goes bumping. As it does, those minerals that are getting pushed up against that rift from the water pressure, they will bump down the rift with every bump of the table, working their way down. A little bit of sand left behind, super light. As that water flows over that rift with all our slurry, pushes that sand, and yeah, that sand wants to get pushed up against the rift, but because the sand's so light, every time the table bumps, that water will push the sand over the rift as it bumps, work its way down to the floor, get a shovel and scoop. Now, the reason why the mill people did this, not as crazy miners. If I were to set this table up, my high end, my low end, and I started running that dirt down this table, not knowing what Al and David taught me, guys, this table would be covered 100% in gold. Cool, huh? Oops, major oops. That's why our mill people did this stuff, guys. Our mill people knew the weights of those minerals. If he got this table dialed in just right, my high end, my low end, he started running that slurry down this table, it will be beautiful. You'll see the gold here, the heavy, getting pushed up against the wrist and bumping down. You'll see your sulfides. You'll see your irons. You'll see your pyrites. Guys, you can get 4 to 5 minerals bumped down this table at once, because based off of the weight of that mineral and the slope of that table you just set it to, as that water pushes that mineral over that rift, because the weight of that mineral knows where to get stopped. And the water will push it up against that rift and it'll bump down that table. Cool, huh? So this wasn't magic, guys. That's why the mill people did this, not as miners. We want to get all of our minerals, don't we? Those minerals will bump down into our hopper. That's your pay dirt. Why pay dirt? Because the smelting plants will buy it from us. That is where they did the separation, guys, not us. We classify. So it's truly done through the smelting. Cool, huh? Don't matter what we do nowadays, most of our mines still run these bad boys to classify our minerals. When we work a stream, yeah, we're miners, we're prospectors, but what else are we? You're this table. You're a classifier. We get that pan in that stream, we get that pan full of dirt, what do? We hold the pan at an angle, we bump it. We're beating that table because we're classifying. We're getting the heavies to bump to the bottom of that table, that pan, the table. We're getting light stuff to bump away. So yeah, when you work streams, you're a version of this table, guys. Cool, huh? Any questions? No questions? Did you guys enjoy yourselves?
Yeah.
We have fun. Never thought you'd have fun in the mine, did you? Glad you had a good time, guys. Now, what I like to point out once we're done with the tour, back there in the earth we were just in, Phoenix Church, 500 feet back, almost 2,000 feet of rock and roll, guys. Cool, huh? So it makes us normal, you guys, crazy. Thank you, means a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Give me a cool comment, because that's what keeps me going, truly, is the comments. If you happen to forget my name, which is easy to do, remember my name. Thank you, guys. Glad you had fun today.
Boy.
Now, we're going to teach you guys how to pan. Thank you, sir. It means a lot.
Awesome.
We're going to give you guys a panning lesson. Once you're done with the panning lesson, we let you loose in that stream. Whatever you find is yours to keep. If you purchased pay dirt today, we'll give you a panning lesson. Once we do, don't pan that dirt out immediately. Practice, practice, practice. We don't want you to lose gold. So practice first. And practice and practice. If you feel confident, go ahead and play a little bit of it. If you don't, take it home and pan it. We don't want you to lose the gold. Okay? There's gold in it. We put color gold in those bags. That way, if you're having a look at the stream, you'll get luck at our pay dirts. You guys ready? Well, come on over. I'm going to show you how easy it is. Stand right here for you guys today. I know. Most people think us miners see each other all day long. It's like that throughout the mine. We'll be lucky if we cross each other one of the drifts. Now, pay attention to that water flow down. Because that water flows downstream, carries that heavy metal downstream. What I look for are the rocks in that stream, because as that water flows around that rock, it always creates that calm spot where the minerals like to sink and settle. I also look for waterfalls. Because as that water flows down the waterfall, those heavy metals will sink. That water will keep flowing positive. Also look for the bends of the stream. As that stream flows around that bend, that's going to be the fast spot of that stream. As it does, notice what happens. The minerals settle and pool in the calm spots. So those are the spots I look for, okay? I find somewhere I like, what do? I hit. Remember, gold's heavy, 19.3 times heavier than water. Little trivia question for you. If I've got a little square box, little foot by foot box, and it's empty, I take a piece of cork, weighs an ounce. And a piece of gold that weighs an ounce. And I drop them. Who hits first?
They both went at the same time.
Excellent! An ounce is an ounce. If I take a ton of bricks and a ton of feathers, guys, it's a ton, they hit at the same time. Now, let's think about water pressure. What we just talked about. If I take that box and fill it full of water, then I go to drop my piece of quartz and piece of gold, who hits first?
The gold does.
The gold, guys. Gold is 19.3 times heavier than water. It will resist that pressure and it sinks. The quartz will take its time. That's why when I work the stream and I find the spots I like, I dig. Okay? Get a hole. Once you have yourself a hole, use that pan. Get into that hole and get in there and scoop some dirt. All right? Once we do, the first thing I do, when I do this, I know there's gonna be mud chunks in there, a big rock. Those mud chunks could bounce out of my pan that might have gold in it. So once I get a pan of dirt, I give it a quick shake to flatten it out, and then I'll get in there and start breaking up any mud. All right? Anytime I work in my dirt, I do it in water so nothing sticks. Now I'm gonna get in there and break up mud. As I do, if there's any big rocks in there, I get them out. I'll set them aside and I'll let that water wash. So I can get rid of them, okay? So all we're doing right now, just rock that we get rid of. All I'm doing is get rid of the bigger rock. All right? Because I want to save myself some time when it comes time to classify my dirt. So all I'm doing is breaking up mud and get rid of the big rock, all right? Once you've done that, the fun begins. We got to classify, don't we? Or do that table to do that. I like to work with clean water so I can see what my dirt's doing. I'm gonna get some water, I'm gonna hold my pan and start bumping. As I do, I start tilting, like my table sits. See all that dirt, that form of iron? It's a wreck today, guys. Not quite as heavy as gold, but heavier than water. That's what the gold's gonna hang out with that iron. We gotta get it to settle, don't we? Beat that table, get some water and start bumping, hold that pan at that angle. Because what that does is it gets the heavies to bump down like that giant table. Gets the light stuff to bump up. So that's what we're doing, guys. We're pacifying the heavies from the lights. Even getting the pebbles up to the surface. As we do this, we don't see any more black. We know we got everything to sink. Okay? Then I stop and check, make sure there's no black dirt. If there is, I keep bumping. I want to bury it. Once I've done that and there's no more black showing in front of me again, we got to clean that sand, don't we? We will be that table to do that. The hole we dug, we got a calm spot to work. If you try and work it in that stream, it's a nice slow stream, water will wash everything out of your pan. We don't want that, do we? So the hole you just dug, you got a calm spot to work in. We take that pan, we stick it in that hole we just dug, and what do? We start washing, guys, because look what that washing does. It gets everything to float off my pan. Cool, huh? So all we're doing right now is floating, just like that giant table. We're getting the sand to bump off the table, bump off my pan. As I do this, and I start to see the pretty black dirt show up, so I quit bumping, because I don't want to bump any of the blacks out, do I? I get some water, and I bury all that black. Get it back to the bottom again. That way we can get back in there and slowly bump the sand off. Get that sand to float. Look at it float back. Cool, huh? So all we're doing right now is washing. We're getting the sand to float. As I do, and I see more pretty black dirt, I stop. I get some water and bury it. Get back to the bottom. All right? That way we can do what? Get back in there and wash it off. Be that table and bump the sand, guys. See how easy that floating action is? That's all we're doing is floating, guys. See? Even my pebbles slow. As I do this, I start to see that pretty black dirt again. What do? Get water and bury. Get back in the hole and do it some more. Get that mud to float. As all that mud floats off, we get those pebbles to float off. We're seeing no more pretty black, aren't we? We stop. We bury. We get back in there. And we float with all that mud to float right off our pan. As all that mud floats, we start seeing a little more of that pretty black. Get more water and bury it. I know, it seems like a tedious job, but yes, it really is. I'm going slow so you guys can see what we do. Get back in there and float. Get at the bump. Look, even the pebbles gone. That's cool, huh? Ooh, look at all that pretty black dirt. We stop and bury. Get back in our hole and bump the muck off. And as we bump all the little pebbles out, wow, look at that! The pretty pieces of pyrite we were talking about, that calco pyrite, and now all that beautiful iron. Cool, huh? So we're done bumping. We're done washing. Now the fun part, think about that black dirt. It's iron, huh? That black dirt is a form of magnetite. It's magnetic and gold isn't. So what we do is we take that magnet and wave it over our plate. Wow, cool, huh? So that's what we're gonna do, guys. We take that magnet, we get over that plate, and you wave it over the plate. because the iron will cling. So all we're doing right now is we're getting rid of the rest of that iron. Cool, huh? The magnetite. Now the fun part. Get rid of the rest of the sand. We get rid of the water we bury. Alright? All we're trying to do is get the heavy back to the bottom. Last thing I do is a swirl. I'm going to swirl the water over my sand. I want to swirl the sand off, and the swirling action is very, very easy to do. Very soft motion. I will make sure everybody sees this, okay? Take that pan, hold it, and when you do, start swirling and watch what it does. Washes. All that sand floats. As all that sand floats off and I start seeing the black dirt, I am done swirling. I don't want to wash the piece of gold out, do I? So I quit swirling. And I'll show you guys how easy it is. We get some water, then we bury it. When I go to do my swirl, I want just enough water to cover my dirt, that's it. All right? When I do my swirl, it's very, very easy, very smooth motion. Because all I want to do is swirl. And as I swirl, watch what it does. It washes. As it washes, and I start to see the yellow and the possible pieces of gold, I quit swirling because I don't want to swirl gold out. Do I?
Oh, wow.
Put my thumb there. So as I go to wash those floaties, I'll let the water go up to that pretty black dirt and I'll wash the floaties out. Now the fun part, we're going to be that giant table. We're going to get some water. We're going to bury what much we in there. Think about how that table works. It bumps us. As it bumps, the heavies will bump up gravity. The lights will bump down. So we're going to do just that. We're going to get some water. I'm going to make sure everybody sees my bumps. We take that pan. We hold it at a slight angle. I like to hold it up against my stomach so I can see what happens. When I do my bumps, notice what starts to happen. Oh, light stuff bumps bye-bye. As all that light stuff bumps bye-bye, what bumps up to the corner? The heavy. The gold will always bump up the pan. The light stuff will always bump down. The gold will concentrate. Cool, huh?
Yeah.
That's how that table works, guys. So that final step, your bumps. And I'll show you guys how easy it is, too. Hold that pan at an angle, like my table sits. When we do, we bump. As we bump, we're trying to get all that sand to bump, all the pyrite to bump. Notice how it starts dancing down my pan. Notice it starts to concentrate at the very top. The gold. So we are being that table. We'll actually get that gold to dance. When we start finding all that beautiful yellow in there, we take our pipette and our jar. We sell it as a kit, $2. We take that pipette, we squeeze it whole. When we do, we get in there, we see those beautiful pieces of gold, and we suck them right up. And we squirt them into our jar. Cool, huh? Squirt, then do it again. Get in there and suck it up. Squirt it into your jar. When you think you got it all out of your pan, give it that quick shake, and do your bumps to make sure you got it all out. Because if you didn't, I'll just concentrate up, and there's another piece right there. Cool, huh? Once we've done that, and you've got that jar full of all that beautiful black dirt and those little pieces of gold, take that jar home and wash. That's the fun part. You're going to get a stream of water flowing about that big coming out of your faucet. Perfect stream just like that, flowing out of your faucet. Once you do, take that jar and hold it like this. And let that water flow into it. What that will do is it'll start to stir up that iron. Being that iron's not quite as heavy as gold, it's going to start to get stirred up. As it does, that water flowing in is going to flush the iron out. And all that black is slowly going to float out. As it does, you got a jar full of clear water, you're done. Make sure the water goes over the top of your jar just like that, so you have the water over the jar. Then put that lid on. Don't want any air bubbles. You want it all to be water. Because once you put that lid on and you start looking, water acts like a magnifying glass. It's all pretty gold in your jar. Cool, huh? It is that simple. And if you didn't see my gold dance, which, ooh, there was gold dancing, I'll show you how fun it really is. Notice a piece of gold right at the bottom of my pan? Watch. Where is it now? Top of my pan. That's exactly how that table works. That beautiful piece of gold. Now it's at the very bottom of my pan. When we do our bumps, we'll actually watch that beast start bumping up that table. It'll start bumping up that pan and start working its way up. And as it does, all that gold concentrates. And we start seeing the little pieces together. Cool, huh? And yeah, gravity will do that every time we start doing those bumps. That gold will always dance. I can get that gold to dance around my pan just by doing my bumps. Knowing how heavy the gold is. Now that I have all that gold concentrated and I start doing my bump, notice what it does? Always bumps to the very top. The rest of it bumps away. Cool. So that's your final step, guys. Get down to that beautiful gold. And just by doing all those little bumps, you get down to all the little tiny pieces as well. Neat, huh? When you find gold, it'll always be dull yellow, even all that black, and little dull yellow pieces of gold in there. It is that easy, and it is that fun. Patience will pay off. Been doing this for a little over 10 years. Drummers. I've been playing drums for 33 years. Drummers are major spazzes, aren't we? Guys, it's taught me patience, it really did. So, if you're patient, you'll get on to the good stuff. And yeah, just today we've been pulling little pieces of gold out of that stream today. Also found a beautiful garnet today too. So yeah, there's garnets in that stream as well. You guys ready to have some fun? Well, I hope so. At our front counter, we do have everything you might need imaginable. We even have our magnets. Yeah. The best part, our magnifying glasses. Why? Because as we look at gold through our jeweler's eyes or our magnifying glasses, if it's flat, it's not gold. Even the most teeniest piece of gold, even that little tiny piece right there looks flat, don't it? If I look at it under my jeweler's eye or magnifying glass, you'll see that it's chunky. So that's why we love to use our magnifying glasses to look at that gold. Even though there's teeny tiny pieces, look at these teeny tiny chunks. Cool, huh? We got it all, guys. We even have our pay dirt. Guaranteed to find Colorado gold. Came out of our streams here in Colorado. That way, if you have no luck in that stream, you will in that pay dirt. If you do happen to purchase the pay dirt, don't go up to that stream and wholeheartedly pan it out because you'll lose it. Practice, practice, practice. If you feel confident, then play a little bit of it. If you don't, I don't blame you. Take it home. Rather you do it at home and not lose the gold, okay, guys? You ready to go give it a shot? Yeah. That's what I wanted to hear.